think about perceptions? I want to ask a question. Do you guys know what is perceptions? You know, perception is something we all engage in constantly, whether we realize it or not. It's the process we use to organize and interpret sensory information from the environment, but here's the catch. It's not always objective. It's shaped by a mix of past experience, value, cultural backgrounds, and even our mood at the moment.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's like the way I see things isn't always how they are, but more that I've learned to interpret them. Can you explain more about how these factors influence perception? I think understanding that will help me a lot at work.
Sure, let's start with past experience. What we've been through in life often colors how we see others. For example, if you work with someone who always late, you might unconsciously assume that anyone who shows up a few minutes late has the same habits. It's a shortcut our brain use, but it's not always accurate. Then there's cultural background. Each culture has its own norms and sets of value, and this can influence how we interpret behaviors. Some things that considered assertive in some culture might be seen as rude in another. These are just a couple of many factors that influence perceptions.
So basically, how we see things is like a filter that can be shaped by everything we have been through or where we come from.
Exactly, it's a filter, and because of that filter, our judgment can sometimes be biased and or inaccurate. That's where problem came in, especially in the workplace.
That reminds me of a time when I discussed a colleague. There was this one project. I assumed one of my coworkers wasn't pulling their weight because they seemed distracted in the meetings. I didn't realize we were going through a lot of tough time personally. I let that assumption guide my behavior for weeks. When I finally found out what was really going on, I felt terrible for not giving them benefit of the doubt.
Here's a really great example of how perception can influence our interaction. It's common for all of us to make judgments based on incomplete information. You are not alone in that. And it's human nature to make quick assessments because our brain wants to simplify the complexity around us.
Right. And I think I've done that too. I once judged a coworker based on how they dress. I thought they didn't take the job seriously because they were so casual. But after working with them for a while, I realized that they were one of the most hardworking people on the team.
That's a really great point, and it brings us to something called shortcuts in judgment. These are cognitive mental shortcuts that help us to process information quickly, but they can lead to flawed judgment. Two common ones are stereotypes, and the other one is halo effect.
Can you explain those more? I think I've heard of them, but how do they play out in the workplace?
Let's start with stereotyping. Stereotyping happens when we apply generalized beliefs about a group to an individual. For example, assuming that someone from a certain generation or background will act a particular way because of a stereotype about their groups. It can be based on gender, age, ethnicity, or any characteristics. And all that is dangerous because it overlooks individual differences.
Yeah, I've seen that happen in meetings. Sometimes people make assumptions about a coworker's abilities just because of their age or cultural background. I can see how that will lead to unfair treatment.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this one called halo effect. This is when we let one positive trait, like someone's charms or confidence, overshadow everything else. We might think that they're really good at presenting, so they must be really great at everything else. It leads to inflated impression of someone's abilities based on one trait.
I've totally done that. There is one coworker who's great at talking to clients, and because of that, I assume they were a great team player in every aspect. but in reality, they struggle with collaboration during projects.
It happened to all of us. That's the tricky part about perception. It's quick and automatic, but it's often incomplete. That's why being aware of these shortcuts is so important.
So, what can we do to avoid these pitfalls? I mean, it feels like the brain is wired to make the judgment fast. How do we slow down and see people more accurately?
That's a fantastic question. The first step is to become conscious of your perception and how they form. Ask yourself, why am I thinking this way about this person? Is it based on facts or assumptions? Another approach is to challenge yourself to gather more information before making a judgment. For instance, instead of assuming someone is disinterested based on their behavior in one meeting, try to observe them in different situations or ask them directly. Sometimes we don't know the full pictures.
I see. So it is really about slowing down the process, giving people a chance, and not jumping to conclusion based on first impression.
Exactly. It's about avoiding snap judgment, and in a workplace setting, it's even more important because how we perceive others can impact team dynamics, morale, and overall productivity. Making judgment based on complete information fosters fairness and inclusions.
I will definitely try to apply that. I realize now how often I have relied on my initial impression. It's all about giving people a fair shot, right?
Exactly, and remember, it's a practice. No one gets it perfect, but the more you challenge your own perceptions and keep an open mind, the better your judgment will be. It will help you to build stronger relationship at work too.
That's really helpful. I'm going to start paying attention to how I perceive others, especially when I catch myself making quick judgment.
Yep, me too. This is something I will take with me for sure.
But remember, perception isn't always the reality. And the more we challenge our bias, the more inclusive and understanding our workplace will become.
Oops, look at the time. I gotta go now.
Oh,
Bye. 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 Peace.
bye.